What's up everyone, Nick from ResoNix Sound Solutions here. Before we get into this video, I'm not going to show you any products. I just want to thank you for watching. A lot of you seem to really be enjoying these videos. Miguel from Waveform Tuning was nice enough to do one of these videos for me, which was pretty unexpected and pretty neat. So for this video, I just want to remind you of all of the helpful information that we have on our website. So if you come here to the resources tab, you will see we have all of these different articles, all of these different blog articles, all of these different YouTube videos that are there just to help you get the best end results possible. We have the independent testing, which is done by Chris Perdue, where you can see all of the comparisons of these various sound deadening materials, their resonance reduction, square foot equivalencies, price to performances, and then you can even come down here and, compare them. ResoNix versus Amazon Basics. You could see, how these different products perform. It's really neat. We have a lot of helpful stuff in here that's going to help you decide what products to use, even if you don't use ours. We also have the reference information and guide page. This is going to help you educate yourself on how these different products work. Constrained layer dampers, decouplers, sound absorbers, noise barriers, other various useful tips. It explains how the products work, why they work, when to use them, where to use them, how to use them, when not to use them. I know it's a ton of information, but I promise you, there is no other company that has this much information on their website. We are doing our best to educate our customers and even our non-customers. We're just putting this info out there. We also have the buyer's guide. You're curious on, what you need to sound deaden your vehicle? I guarantee you this article will answer it, whether it's for, improving your car audio system sound quality or just to reduce road noise. We have all of these different areas covered, and I'm actually going to be adding more to this soon, but it's all the general areas of a vehicle, and what exactly I suggest and how. Like I said, it's very intensive. There's so much information. I promise you're going to learn something new by reading our resources. Not only that, we have the blog pages. How to sound deaden car doors. This is a nice article that I did. I also have the video series that you can watch. Everything that I do when it comes to sound deadening a door. That's a very helpful article. How to do your wheel wells to reduce noise from your tires. What sound absorber to use in your car. We also have stuff that's completely unrelated to our sound deadening products. How to use the Helix DSP software. How to use WinISD to model subwoofers and mid-bass drivers or mid-range drivers. We also have YouTube videos on how to sound deaden doors and how to do a 911. There's all sorts of information on our website. I promise you, I know you've probably seen it before, but it's always being added to, it's always being updated, it's always being upgraded. There's so many different things. We also have the glossary page, which is very simple. A lot of people get confused about various terms. You could always use and reference that. But also the ResoNix DSP tuning tracks and guide. I have a folder of all the tracks I use along with a demo playlist that I use. Not only that, I tell you a very basic rundown on how exactly I tune a car and all of the tracks to use with it. It's, and you click this, you can see all of these different notes on what I do with them. It's really awesome. And I really think a lot of people don't make use of this, and I think they should. So again, I guarantee you there's plenty of information on here for you to learn and help you improve not only your install, but maybe even your tune, or even just various tidbits that can help you along the way. Feel free to look at our website, feel free to look at our YouTube channel. It's all free, it's all meant with the intent of helping you. So again, take a look, and thank you again for watching. I'm really appreciating the feedback and excitement that you guys are getting for these videos. So let's get into it.
Hey everyone, Miguel from Waveform Tuning, and I'm here with your first and only, well probably only, spotlight video. Nick, hello.
What's up? How are you?
No, not
Usually
bad.
I'm the one talking.
I know.
I don't like this.
Huh?
Yeah.
Well, I called to see you doing other people's, but no one's ever done your car.
Yeah.
So let's talk about it. I'm just going to face you and let me know a little bit about your car.
Okay. 2019 Volvo. Got this back in 2020 when I was doing Apicella Auto Sound.
Okay.
And I got it specifically to be a demo car for my shop. Previous to that, I had a 2012 Civic that I beat the hell out of and didn't really care about. It was
clapped
always,
it out?
Yeah, it was straight up, it was clapped out. Like, I used it to just do whatever the hell I wanted. There was always snowboards in the back of it. It was always dirty. I never washed it.
Yeah.
And my business was growing to a point where I couldn't stick a client in that car and make them feel related to it.
For sure.
It sounded great. It had a great sounding system, but they couldn't relate to it.
For sure.
So it was affecting the growth of my business.
Yep.
Especially since I didn't have a showroom, the car was supposed to be my showroom.
Makes sense.
So yeah, I started talking to a buddy of mine. Actually, it was a client at the time who was going to go to me. And for the first time ever in my career, I got a text from him saying, hey, I actually decided to go with someone else. And I was like, whoa, okay.
That's weird.
And we talked about it. I was like, that's fine. The person he told me he was going with, I was like, dude, I totally get it.
Yeah.
Let me know when it's done. I would love to hear it because I've never heard one of their cars.
For sure.
And of course, 2-3 months later, he texts me, hey, got the car back, you want to hear it? And I was like, yeah, sure. He comes by, and turns out the car, he ended up spending 2 to 3 times more than he was going to spend with me. It didn't sound nearly as good as what it would have or should have sounded like. So I fixed the tune that day.
Yeah.
I fixed some stuff on the install that day. The install was beautiful looking, but underneath had some problems. But mostly it was tuning issues, really bad tuning issues. So I fixed it all. I did it for free.
Sweet.
And I was asking, I was like, hey, let me ask you a question. Please be honest with me. Help me out here. What made you go with this other shop as opposed to me, even though you heard my car and you loved it and you didn't hear anything from them?
For sure.
And he was like, well, I got that warm and fuzzy feeling from them. And I was like, all right, fuck it. I'm getting a new car this week. And I was like, you know what? What do you think? I was like, what car? Him and I got along really well. I was like, what car do you think I should get?
Yeah.
He's like, look at the new Volvos. I was like, I'm not 70 years old. I'm not getting a fucking Volvo.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
And he's like, no. Look at the new
nice.
R-Designs. They're really nice.
Let me see it.
And of course, I think it was 5 days later I had one.
Really?
So yeah, we want to
5
go.
days.
5 days later I had one.
You really did not care about
No,
just
I didn't care. And here's the thing. The crazy thing is, I didn't really do anything to it for the first month. I just got it. I was trying to figure out, and I was busy at work.
Yeah.
But then within the first month of having some sort of system in it, my average monthly, or no, not average monthly, my average ticket, my average sound system price went from $8,500 to $14,500.
Just because now you had a platform you can relate to.
Like that.
Makes sense.
It wasn't I'm going to upsell people. It was, hey, this is what I can offer you.
Yep.
And people finally felt comfortable spending money with
For
me.
sure.
And I was able to capture a different demographic as well.
100%. I mean, unfortunately, in the field that we play in, your car talks for you.
Exactly.
So Civics are great. I like Civics. I have no problem with it.
I hate Civics.
Well, they're not bad, but for the people in the clientele are spending $8,000+, they're probably not driving Civics. So now you have something you can relate.
A lot of them were, buddy, or even Volkswagens or basic Audis or trucks or whatever. At the time, I wasn't doing 911s and Lambos and Ferraris. Sure. I wasn't doing that at the time, but I started getting people that were I have a 997 911, or I have a Q8, or I started reaching people that weren't just the hobbyists.
For sure.
That wanted a higher end system in their basic daily driver. Yeah. I started reaching other people, but they were the ones that were getting a little ooh, I don't really know this guy over the past 10 years in the forums like the rest of these guys did.
Yeah.
And it was what the hell is this clapped out Civic, as you said. And it really was holding me back. And like I said, over the course of a month, my average ticket went from $8,500 to $14,500.
That's awesome.
Like that.
That's awesome. So
yeah.
You talk about the Volvo, and you said R-Design, beautiful car. Did you get this wrapped?
So it's not wrapped in vinyl. It is wrapped, but it's not wrapped with vinyl, and I want to make a clear distinction on that. Vinyl is cheap. It's, frankly, I consider that clapped out.
Okay.
Mostly because vinyl goes bad in 2 years. If you leave it outside, you don't take care of it. I have it wrapped with paint protection film. It's a urethane-based film that's meant to protect the paint. And most people get it in clear, so it doesn't look like anything's on the car. Yeah. But they also make it in a satin finish. Okay. So Jesus Christ,
let's go over here
so ripping.
You can actually hear you.
Yeah. It's wrapped with a version that's done in a satin finish, because there are some cars that come in a satin finish, like Mercedes or a Range Rover.
100%.
So I was like, hey, I want to wrap the whole thing in that and make it a satin finish. So this
sick.
is the color, but it's not the sheen of the car.
That's sick. So quick question for you.
Yeah.
There are a lot of cars that have very similar speaker locations to this Volvo. And clearly you chose it to put a system in it.
Yeah.
So why this one?
Why this car?
Yeah, why this car out of all the cars?
Like I said, I was brainstorming with that customer turned friend, and I looked at it, and not only did it have all of my personal requirements, all black interior, comfortable, nice, sporty-ish, but still kind of luxury, but not like the price tag of a luxury car.
For sure.
But it also had the opportunity to do 2 sound systems in it, which I didn't think of really until I saw the car.
What you mean by 2 sound systems?
So this car has 2 sound systems in it.
Okay.
It's not, the second system isn't up and running because I actually took the speakers out and gave them to a friend of mine.
Gotcha.
But I can do the OEM locations that are all in the doors.
Okay.
You know, mid-bass, mid-range, and tweeter are all in the door.
Yep.
But then I was like, oh, I can also do a custom sound system and demo that to people, do kicks, dash, pillar.
Huh. So
And,
now you have 2 different clientele with one car that you can just switch back and forth?
Yeah, and I was doing that, but then frankly, I realized that was a bad idea.
Okay.
I should have just done one system because frankly, most people were like getting too confused by it.
For sure, I can see.
You got to keep things simple with, most customers.
Yeah.
You know, they're here, again, most of your everyday type customer that just has money to spend and wants a better system. They're not into the details. They're like, all right, what can you do for me? What are you capable of? Let's get it in, let's get it out.
Yeah.
To hobbyists, they might be interested in hearing the difference, but most of the people coming to me by then were, again, I was getting into different demographics that weren't hobbyists.
For sure. Well, it kind of seems like the people who are bringing the cars to Nick don't want the confusion. They're letting you deal with that because they don't want to. So they're like, Nick,
it's not even that they don't want to, it's they don't know anything about it. And they're like, I trust you as a professional to tell me what is needed in here to get what I'm asking of you. And sometimes what they're asking of me is the highest end sound system you can imagine, or it could be something like, hey, this is a super car I just bought. I managed to get an allocation for it. I'm only gonna keep it for 400 miles.
Okay.
And I wanna do a sound system in it that's good, but doesn't cost me an arm and a leg because I'm only gonna drive it for maybe 400 or 500 miles.
For sure.
So it really depended on, you know, what the situation was, and I could design a solution for them.
Makes sense.
So you asked why I chose the locations, I think, right?
Well, mainly just why you chose this car out of all the, I mean, BMWs have similar locations.
No, BMW, well, the factory locations,
factory ones.
BMWs, I hate their infotainment system.
Gotcha.
Out of like the big 3, like Audi, BMW, Mercedes, I hate to say it, but I think BMW might have the edge over Audi and Mercedes now with the current like 2025 models.
For sure.
The previous ones, I would give it to Audi hands down as far as like what I would pick.
Okay.
But like the newer designs on the interior are starting to get a little weird. I don't know. I was looking at Audis myself because I'm selling this. I don't know for anyone watching this.
Yeah,
it
anyone,
is for sale.
Plug. How much?
Because I don't own a retail store anymore. I don't need to demo cars to people.
Okay, and how much are you trying to sell it for?
We'll discuss.
Okay.
We'll discuss.
Yeah, everyone, he's selling it. So if you're interested, it's here.
But yeah, so I liked it. I actually didn't even think about doing dash when I first got it. I was just gonna do mid-range and tweeter in the pillar.
Okay.
Which I did at first, and it turned out to be, I managed to get it in a way that wasn't too bulky, but it wasn't perfect. It wasn't exactly what I wanted. Then I finally gained the courage to, you know, cut some holes in my dashboard.
Yep.
Yeah.
I did it to my car. So let's see it.
All right, go to the trunk.
Let's do it first.
Here, you go that way.
All right.
Actually, yeah. All right. Oh wait, the system's off. Let me.
Yeah, take your time.
Keep recording. You can show.
Yep.
You can show it.
Show him.
No, show the trunk.
I will. Hey, I'm doing this, not you, Nick.
Whoops. All right.
Very nice.
Yeah. So we have the Brax DSP here. That is controlling everything, and that is going from the Brax DSP to a pair of Sinfoni Prestigios, one of which was modified by Gordon Taylor. These are powering mid-range and tweeter. And then we also have 3 Mosconi Pro 410s. These were powering mid-range and tweeter and the mid-bass.
Okay.
One of them is bridged to mid-bass, the other one was doing mid and tweeter, and then they also, I just had extra channel. Actually, I think I was bridged to mid-range. Maybe I was bridged to mid-range too. I don't remember. I made so many changes to this, who the hell knows. But now, frankly, I just have 2 extra amps in case I do, again, want to populate that second location in the doors. Again, I took those out to give to a friend, and I never did anything with it. Like I said, a year into having those 2 systems, I realized like it's pointless demoing these 2.
For sure.
I mean, just whatever. And a friend of mine was looking for the speakers, and I was like, you know what? I'll sell these to you for cheap. I'm never going to use them.
There we go.
But like I said, all I have to do is drop speakers in those doors, and it can fire right up.
Sweet.
But and then back behind here, you can see. I don't know if you can even see it, but there's 3 more Mosconi Pro amplifiers.
Oh wow! I can see like a little like.
Yeah, you can see it.
There a
you probably
bit.
won't even see it on video.
Yeah, probably not.
But it is 3 of the Pro 110s, and that powers the 2 subs in the rear.
Okay, and where are those at?
They're behind this. They're facing. They're in between this and the rear seats.
Got you. And what kind are they?
Illusion C12XLs.
Nice.
Very awesome subs.
Yes.
And I'm doing them each in 0.75 cubic feet. Very small sealed enclosure. And they play down to 10 hertz.
Beautiful.
They measure down to 10 hertz.
Yeah.
And you know, everyone thinks, oh, I gotta cut the car, I gotta do 18s in a clamshell enclosure, vent it to the floor. Dude, you don't. Stop it. You could do it, but you don't need to. Everyone thinks you need to, but you don't.
We'll definitely discuss that more when we get inside about what people, the limitations of where you should stop cutting your car.
Oh, because I have plenty of those limitations that I found out in this car. But anyways, I actually have something else that's hidden, is a Helix V Twelve that's tucked behind the driver's side quarter panel.
That's cool.
And that is what was, before I had the Sinfonis, that is what was powering the door speakers, the rear speakers in the doors, and the rear deck speakers. And I was gonna do a center channel, but I never did. And yeah, so that was going to power all of that. So it's this channel right here comes out and goes to the V12.
Got you.
Yeah.
So you've tuned a lot of cars.
Yeah.
So here's a question for you that I personally found out. 75 watts is plenty. It can get pretty loud.
Yeah.
So was that similar experience in this car?
Well, I've tuned to date over 800 systems.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, like over the past 12 years. In my current laptop, there's over 400 folders.
Nice.
Which each folder is a day of tuning for somebody. And that's just on my current laptop. Never mind the other 2 that I have.
For sure.
Never mind the remote tunes that I've done. And all of the systems that I've done over the years. So here's a perfect example. My former employee, Matt Kim, excellent installer, excellent tuner. He had a crazy system in his Tesla that he just sold. And he got a new car, and I'm like, hey, what are you doing? He's like, I'm just gonna do a V12 and really good speakers. He's like, I'm gonna keep it simple, and I guarantee I get damn near the same thing.
Yeah, 100%. I've said this on the Esqueology podcast, 75 watts is plenty for 90, if not 95% of people.
Well, you're being a little hypocrite right now. How much power do you have on your mid-range?
Don't worry about how much I have. I am not. So when I built my car, my goal was to be one of the loudest SQ cars to exist. I wanted it to be a double-edged sword where it could do both.
I heard your car is. This car gets plenty goddamn loud. If we turn it up. You know, these.
You got plenty of power for
Sinfonis, well, these are only, I think they're only 40 watts a channel.
Yeah, but aren't those only going to your mids?
Yeah, mid-range and tweeter.
Yeah, how much you put into your mid-bass?
Whatever a Mosconi Pro does, bridged.
So a lot. It's a decent amount.
I think it's 250, 300. I don't know.
Hey, Ann. What's going on?
Get out of here, dude.
We're doing a spotlight video.
No one invited you.
I didn't know you guys were doing videos.
We are. We're doing it right now. We're doing live. You're going to be on
This
video.
is our friend Ian.
Hey, Ian.
Hey, guys.
Get out of here. Go away.
No.
That's a nice setup.
Yeah.
Well, now that Ian's blocking us, let's go inside.
All right.
Let's talk a little more about it.
Ugh.
I'm going to move this water bottle.
Yeah, can you grab that for me?
Yep.
Thank you. All right. Just watch your feet because I don't have girls on the mid basses right now.
No problem. If I step on them, you can just warranty them out, right?
Yeah.
All right, so clearly we have dash locations that look factory.
Yeah,
They're
they
not.
look factory. They're not. And we have pillar tweeters. That's the only thing in this car that looks not factory.
Yep.
And I'm very, very proud of that fact, considering I have 9 amplifiers in this car.
Dang.
2 processors, 2 12-inch full-size subs in a sealed enclosure, front 12-inch subwoofer, kick panel mid-bass drivers, dash mid-ranges, pillar tweeters, and the only thing you see that looks
out, even if you want to call that.
Yeah, and it's only sticking out just a little bit.
No, this is
You
nice.
would never really know what's going on. And also, most of those amplifiers are these big, well, the Mosconi Pros aren't big, but they're still Class AB amps, so Sinfonis are monsters. That Brax DSP is a monster.
It is, it's massive.
And the only thing that I lost in this car was an inch of visibility right here, just that one little spot.
Yep.
And a little bit of trunk space. And here's the thing, that's not a big trunk from the get-go.
No, it's not.
That was the only problem I had with this car when I was looking to purchase it. I was like, oof, this trunk might be too small. But guess what? I still have a fully functioning spare tire that I can access.
Really?
I still can fit every amount of groceries that I could put in there. I could still put suitcases in there. I could still put, like when I go snowboarding for a weekend, I could still fit all of my stuff except for my snowboard itself, which I just put in the back seat.
Yep.
In a snowboard bag. But yeah, the car is still fully functional. The only thing that I lost was fold down seats.
Big deal.
To some people it is.
Yeah.
To me, it was nice when I, was going snowboarding, but again, there's a workaround to that.
Well, there's also, this is your vehicle, right? So for you, it wasn't a big of a deal.
Yeah.
You could probably rearrange that amp rack, probably simplify the system where you could have, what do you think?
With the current setup.
Yep. I'm talking about fully changing
If I was willing to get rid of the spare, yes, but I wasn't willing. I actually had the subs in the spare tire well. I had 3 of the shallow 12s in the spare tire well at one point.
Okay.
And I got rid of that because I popped the tire twice within like a month and a half.
Oh,
and the
gotcha.
second time, actually both times, I wasn't even driving it. It was my ex. And the second time she was picking her brother up from the airport, and it was in like the dead of winter. It was free. It caused a huge problem. It took them like 12 hours to get home.
Oh, gotcha.
And like they had to get 2 different tows, and it went to my buddy's dealership shop. We couldn't get a tire until like the next day. It was a disaster.
Yeah,
so I was
it was
like,
just a headache. Let's just put it back.
Yeah, I was like, you know what? Let me just get this spare. I don't even care.
Well, with that, I know the roads here are much different than where I'm at in Tampa because we don't really have snow.
Turn this light on so you can see
There we
us.
go. Nice. So, okay. Everyone knows, hey, these are white, so they're probably not cheap. Oh, no, these are actually probably pretty cheap, right?
Yeah, they're very cheap.
Yeah. So talk to me about them.
Accuton Automotive Ceramic speakers.
Okay.
ResoNix, which I am the owner of,
Yes, he is.
is the U.S. or actually North American distributor for Accuton Automotive and Micro Precision, both high-end speaker companies out of Germany. Micro Precision also offering amplifiers, which I actually brought a pair. They're sitting in the box over there if you want to take a look at them
Sweet,
after.
yeah, let's do that.
But yeah, super impressive speakers. Best, frankly, like it's going to be biased, but it is what it is. They are the best automotive speakers I have ever used to date for my particular preferences, which is detail.
Yep.
They're incredible.
They are. I heard it.
Yeah. The downside to them is, like you said, the diaphragms are made out of ceramic, so they are susceptible to people getting a little handsy, looking at you, Volvo Ramsey, looking at you, Volvo White Plains, looking at you, Volvo Englewood, all of which have damaged. Well, the first 2 damaged a tweeter. The second one damaged my Brax processor. It's
all cheap stuff.
It's insane. Yeah, all very cheap stuff. It's absolutely mind-boggling. So I'm like, the second time I even taped over the tweeters. I made videos. I was like, don't touch anything. I came back, there's a goddamn hole in the tweeter.
What you got to do is just remove the tweeter.
And here, yeah. The thing is, with the system, I beat the hell out of this car.
We were not playing it at low volumes.
We weren't playing it at high volume either. This thing, I beat the piss out of this thing. And they do fine, but when someone who doesn't know is like, oh, cool, what is that, and
Yeah.
sticks their finger through it.
Yeah, it's
you know,
different.
it's kind of a problem.
Yeah.
So,
I mean,
but thankfully I had them sitting on the shelf, ready to go.
like I already knew this was going to happen and pop new ones in.
No, I didn't know it was going to happen. I thought they would
Well,
be
the
smart
second
enough to,
time around.
you know, yeah, I took every precaution possible.
Yeah.
But yeah, so now I have the full Accuton Automotive three-way. You know, the mid-bass sixes are in the kicks, right into the like frame rails of the car.
Nice.
To anyone doing a modern Volvo, don't do that. I 100% regret it. I had to spend hours upon hours cutting the strongest steel in the automotive industry, which was a nightmare. Then I had to, you know, drill and tap and do all this nonsense to get them in there, make sure, you know, everything's solid.
Yep.
And then I also had to relocate multiple fuse boxes and modules to under the passenger seat, all to end up with an end result that sounds no different than my properly deadened doors.
See, okay, hold up. I'm gonna turn this camera around.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about that because I've been preaching this for a little bit now.
What?
Which is doors do not suck, like everyone says. You just have to
don't.
actually deaden them. And you and I had a long conversation
Yeah.
several months ago about, hey, if you actually deaden your vehicle, that's the biggest improvement.
It is.
This is not a plug for ResoNix, even though it is amazing stuff. I have it in my car. But guys, you do not have to cut your car up, do IB this, IB that. Mid-bass can be great in the doors if you properly deaden them. Nick, tell me a little bit how you would deaden these doors.
How I did deaden these doors?
Yes.
So these doors actually do have one advantage over most vehicles.
Okay.
So I will throw that out there. You know, these doors will probably do better. I'm trying to think. The only car doors that I think would do better are Porsche 911s,
Yep.
and certain Audis, and maybe the Lamborghini Huracan.
Okay.
And the reason for that is all of these doors that I just mentioned secure to the door panels secure to the door differently than most vehicles. 911s and this car, they actually hook on. They don't use clips. So I can put more material in there and like really put a ton of pressure against it. So I have ResoNix fiber mat all on the back of here,
Okay.
but I can get away with adding more so it puts more pressure on here so it doesn't resonate.
Nice.
But most people can't really get away with putting as much pressure on it. But still, you can still deaden your doors in a way that you don't get any audible resonance or distortion, you know, resonance being distortion
Yes.
caused by the environment. And resonance is just distortion to your vehicle or distortion to your sound system.
Yeah.
So, you know, people, you know, wanting to argue about these, oh, but, you know, this deadener is, you know, it's not as good, but it's cheaper and whatever. But it's like, yeah, but I've seen you spend $1,000 more on amplifiers or $1,500 more on speakers for like those slight improvements in distortion. Meanwhile, your environment yourself is adding more distortion than any of your equipment possible in a modern car audio system, more than the speakers.
Yeah.
Most really, really good speakers, like these speakers, have less than 1% THD.
Yep.
I don't know if you know that.
I did.
It's
I've done my
insane.
research, but they are phenomenal.
It is, like on paper, like they are insanely low distortion.
Yep.
And the environment is adding so much, just dead and everything. Make sure, if you can put your hand on it and you can feel it moving with the speakers,
The problem.
that is creating its own sound, which is resonance, which is distortion to your sound system.
Well, it's also, that energy is also getting sucked out of actual mid-bass. So you're
Yeah.
actually losing mid-bass just because something else is creating the energy.
I'm less concerned with that. I'm more concerned with it adding distortion.
For sure.
And a way you can actually tell,
Yeah.
I actually had a post about this the other day. If you measure in Room EQ Wizard, if you measure your door or any speaker, and you bring it into the EQ thing and you auto EQ it to be a perfect line to match your target curve, and then you measure again, you apply those filters, you measure again, and it doesn't perfectly match that target, that's from resonance.
Yep.
That's from the car adding peaks and dips that are uncontrollable because it's not actually part of the audio signal and you can't EQ it.
Yep.
So that is a big, if you notice that in your car, if you do one round of EQ and it's not dead smack, you have resonance problems.
Yeah, 100%.
You have a ton of distortion in your car that you are not realizing. And most people just, the thing is, don't realize it. I judged for the first time 2 weekends ago, and every single car had major, except for Ryan's, he still had it, but it wasn't major. Every single car had major resonance issues.
Wow.
That were obvious.
Yes.
But yeah, so how I go about deadening a door is, constrained layer damper on the outer door skin, the inner door skin, and most importantly, the door panel itself. For some reason, most people think the door panel isn't important.
To me, that's like the most important part.
It is. Take it from a person who owns a sound deadening company. The door panel itself is the most important. I actually got into a discussion with some guy on Reddit the other day who was like, I don't think the door panel itself is worth it or important at all. I'm like, you're out of your mind.
Yeah.
Because that is the part that is in the listening space, and every part of the door is resonating, but this is the part that is in the same listening area.
Yep.
So that's the added distortion to your sound system. But yeah, constrained layer damper on everything and using, ResoNix Mega CLD squares or the regular CLD squares. But before I actually do that, use ResoNix rope for all of the super tight tolerance areas in the door panel, the crash bars on the outer door skin, all that fun stuff.
Yep.
On the outer door skin, I do ResoNix Guardian, which is a sound absorber.
Okay.
And it has that floating layer of mass-loaded vinyl, which takes, I like to describe it in a way, it takes the bulk of the energy, the sound energy that's about to hit the outer door skin and resonate your door.
Yep.
And it's almost like a sacrificial layer.
Nice.
That's floating in free space that nothing happens to it.
Yeah. And it's hydrophobic, correct?
The whole foam is hydrophobic, yeah. The mass-loaded vinyl, obviously hydrophobic.
Yeah, obviously.
It doesn't absorb anything.
Yep.
But, and then in the door panel, after butyl rope and constrained layer damper, I do ResoNix Fiber Mat, which is a decoupler and a sound absorber. And if your car has access holes, I use ResoNix Barrier to seal them up. Nice. And I guarantee you, you do this meticulously to like the highest degree once from the start, I guarantee you your doors will not be a problem.
Yeah.
Will kicks be better if you do kicks perfectly?
Depends.
Sure.
Sure.
No, I won't even argue it.
Yeah.
Sure, they will be better.
Okay.
They won't resonate as much. There is no arguing that.
For sure.
But
if done properly,
I guarantee you, it becomes a smaller fish.
Yeah.
The difference between doors and kicks at that point becomes a smaller fish if you deaden your doors correctly, and especially further if you do a proper front sub.
Yeah.
Front subs are becoming, I used to not believe in it, I'll be fully honest. And then we started doing them when we started doing like a lot of higher end vehicles that didn't have trunk room. And they were great. And then I was like, you know what? Let's try one. We did one in my employee's car, and I was like, all right, full gung-ho on this, did it in mine. And now, not only do you have awesome deadened doors, you can cross them at 120 if you want to.
100%.
You get nothing.
Nothing.
You get nothing out of them. No resonance. And actually, as a matter of fact, when I switched from doors to kicks, I noticed zero performance, like quite literally zero performance gains in my sound system. I was actually pissed that I put that much effort. You can see my kicks are not done. Show it.
No.
Show my kicks are not done.
Okay.
And they're not done. They're just open with no grills because I was so pissed that I put all of that effort and time into it without any performance gains that I was like, I'm not putting another second into these until someone buys my car, and then I'll finish the kicks.
Well, and I mean, that's what I was trying to say. It's like, not always is kicks going to make that crazy of an improvement if you do your doors right.
The other thing too is a lot of people, frankly, don't have the fabrication capability to do them correctly.
Yeah.
Yes, the vent, people think it's just, get the speaker in there and make sure it vents properly. No, you have to fabricate stuff in a very particular way. And there's no way to really explain it, but I've heard plenty of kick panel vehicles that rattle and resonate way more than door speakers because they don't have the ability to fabricate. Or they're these big, massive, giant pods that exist. And it's like, dude, you daily drive this? Are you like out of your goddamn mind? And it just doesn't make sense. Are kicks better? Yes, if done to the highest degree of correctness.
I mean, you did it to the highest degree, and you just said it wasn't much better.
I did, yeah. I did.
So it's like, it really depends on the vehicle.
And you can also learn, wait a second, kicks don't work in this vehicle. Believe it or not, my driver's side kick panel has a really weird behavior to it that you can measure and you can kind of hear that didn't happen in the door.
Really?
Yeah, the door has the suck out at 85 hertz. But guess what? I do a front sub, that doesn't matter.
100%.
So it's all about proper system design and mitigating all of these issues that you know will be a problem. And instead of throwing the fucking entire warehouse at it, look at what the options really are. And I just told you, we didn't do the whole challenge thing yet here. But I'll tell it in this video. Someone called me the other day and wanted to get advice on doing Accuton 6-inch speakers in his dashboard and AMT tweeters in his pillars and big mid basses cutting holes under the seat, but also a 10-inch Acoustic Elegance infinite baffle sub, cut infinite baffle through the firewall, and a big 15-inch infinite baffle sub in the back. I was like, whoa, dude. One, really cool, awesome. That sounds really exciting. But question number one, who are you? And I don't mean that as like who do you think you are? I mean like, who are you as in, I actually have no idea who this guy is. But I was like, are you even capable of fabricating that correctly in a way that you have no issues come up with it? Because what a lot of people don't realize is if you don't have the skills to really do all of these different things properly, and I guarantee you most people watching this think they can, but I promise you, sure, you can make it exist, but you won't have it done in a way where you don't have problems. There is a car here today, I'm not gonna name any names, that was exactly that. And it's just like, oh, really crazy cool sound system, but the execution of it was not perfect, and like, you can hear it. So I discussed with this guy on the phone, I was like, look, why are you doing an Acoustic Elegance infinite baffle 10 or 12, I forget what it was, through your firewall, but you have 8-inch monster mid basses cut through holes under your seat, and then you're also gonna do 6s in your dash that made up to, I was like, this is a system design that like sounds cool and has internet points behind it. But it doesn't really, as someone who knows system design very well, it doesn't really add up.
It just seems like he took everything from the internet and just tried to throw it in his car.
Well, what he said was he's mimicking Peter's Accord.
Gotcha.
He's like, I want to do Peter's Accord, but in my car. And I was like, I totally get that. But here's the difference. Peter has insane technical fabrication ability that 99.9% of people do not have. Even the skilled hobbyists do not have the technical fabrication capability that he has. And just because you are capable of achieving that same layout doesn't mean, I built, it can come down to as simple as the layers of fiberglass in the dash enclosures that you do. Peter knows fiberglass very well, as do I. And if you don't do things in the correct order, the correct way, with the correct time period, correct curing, you can end up, here's just one example that I've heard before, related to, how I said I've heard kicks that didn't sound good? If I found out what the issue was, this person, he's like, the fiberglass is an inch thick, how is it resonating? It's because he did layers in a way that were so spaced out and he didn't grind it enough, and like the layers delaminated. So you can end up with an enclosure that vibrates and resonates and has distortion out the wazoo, and you just think, oh yeah, it's cool. Or you can secure it in a way that transfers energy to your now cut up dashboard and everything rattles together.
It resonates like crazy.
Or, you could do a glove box front sub that, again, isn't secured and done correctly, and it transfers all of that mechanical energy into the dash. And now your dashboard is acting as one giant resonator, and it's just nuts. Or, there's a million things. Or you can get one little weird air leak on the mid-range, and now it sounds like your speaker's blown, and you have no idea what it is.
Yep.
There's all of these different things that no one thinks about. And this isn't Peter's fault by any means, because there is no way to explain all of this in
a video.
Any video.
Yeah,
in any series of videos.
Yeah.
Because I've only learned all of this because I've done hundreds of cars.
Yep.
And I made those mistakes.
Yep.
I made mistakes in this car, that I still, and now I'm like, I know that doing all of this work for your average person, probably not worth it.
No.
Unless you're doing it purely for the sake of having fun doing it.
Yeah.
And going to shows with it and just messing around, Don't expect first place finishes just because you did something crazy.
No, of course not.
I guarantee you there's going to be a way more simple setup that smokes you.
Well, and funny enough you said that. I was just about to bring that up. I've never heard Peter's Honda, right? Have you?
I haven't, but one of my customers actually just flew over there and listened to his Mercedes.
Yeah.
And his Honda, and he said it was crazy.
Yeah. No, Peter, no doubt to your skills.
Yeah.
But the thing is, I never heard that Honda. I like taking simplistic approaches.
Yeah.
Once again, I was talking to you earlier. Most of the times, the cars that do the best in competition is, I don't even want to go on that realm, but
the simple setups.
Are the simple setups.
And I think it's not because they're simple.
Yeah, okay.
I think it's because the more complex systems are easier to fuck up.
Yep.
Excuse my language.
Yeah.
And that's, again, what I was just saying.
Yeah.
The more complex systems are easier to fuck up.
Yeah.
Just
more complicated tuning.
There's not even more complicated tuning. It's, as we all know, what's the most important part of a sound system? The install.
The install.
If the install is so much more complicated and there's more things that can mess up along the way and cause problems, Yeah. It's simple. It's very simple.
100%.
Me and Peter, I've talked to hundreds of people in this industry. Peter is the first person I've ever 100% agreed with everything he said.
Gotcha.
Like everything from install philosophy, tuning philosophy. Him and I got together last year at finals. We chit chat, we video chat all the time. Him and I, it's like every time we talk, I'm just like, a breath of fresh air. But people that watch his video, they want to mimic what he does in these crazy systems. And I'm like, ooh, it's not that I don't think you're capable of it. I don't think you're capable of it like he is. And he knows all of these different problems that will come up along the way. And it's baked into his brain of how things need to be done.
Yeah.
And most people just don't know. And you're going to learn the hard way, completely destroying your vehicle.
Yep. Well, Peter also does this as a professional.
Yeah.
And he does it in his own, like the Accord, I think it was an Accord, right? Mm-hmm. That was his build.
It was an Accord wagon. I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah, well, that thing's sick. And it's like, if he ever messes it up or doesn't like it, it's his. So he can just like do whatever he wants.
Yeah. And a lot of people don't realize, like, you know what? Let's use my car as a perfect example. I can't sell this car to a normal person.
Yeah.
I cut the kicks and relocated modules. I cut the dashboard. As soon as you start messing with stuff like that, consider the value of your car 0.
100%.
It's not worth anything anymore. Because nobody in their right mind, no normal person who doesn't care about the sound system is going to buy that vehicle unless you deceive them on it.
Pretty much.
So if I took everything out of this car and put it back to factory as much as I could, it still doesn't matter. I messed with the electrical system heavily. I cut up the dashboard heavily.
Yeah.
What else did I do? Those are the only. I cut the kicks, the metal in the kicks.
The front sub,
heavily.
There?
Oh yeah, the front sub is infinite baffle through the firewall. Cut the firewall. It's done in a way that it's like out of line with like anything heat-wise or water-wise. Like it's fine.
Yeah,
I've
but
been
it's
in there
still
multiple
cut.
times, but it's still cut.
Yeah.
So if I wanted to take this Kelly Blue Book, which I've looked into, on this car is worth about $25,000
Okay.
in its current condition, current mileage. If I wanted to sell this for $25,000 to somebody, and I disclose all of that to them, frankly, they would be stupid
Yeah.
to take that sale.
Sure.
To buy this car.
Yeah. This is gonna
No,
be.
I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it.
No,
I'm
but
just
the
saying
holes
it's like,
are cut.
yeah, it's just, there's holes cut, there's wires that are modified. It's just, why not just buy one that nothing
Doesn't
messed
have that.
with?
Yeah.
You know, if you don't, you know, so it's like, if you're going crazy, make sure you realize you're turning the value of your car to nearly zero.
Yep.
And that's something, frankly, I didn't think about.
Yeah.
And because I didn't really care,
Yeah.
you know, because this car was making me money. Now that it's not, because ResoNix is my full-time gig and it's all done remotely, I work from home. Frankly, things are going very well with that business, and
Good.
I'm very, very happy. Every month is just, I'm like mind blown by
Good.
how good it's going.
You deserve it.
Honestly, I'm going to say, yeah, I do deserve it because I've went through a lot in the past 2 years.
Yeah.
But I've worked hard, and you know, and now I only drive, honestly, about 1,500 miles a year.
Yeah, that's crazy.
What do I need a car like this for? So I was like, you know, maybe I sell it.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not demoing systems to customers. I'm not doing it. So maybe I sell it, get something basic, and you know, do a basic system in it. And you know, I don't know. But I can't even sell the car unless
Yeah.
it goes to someone that appreciates the sound system, and I sell it with the sound system in it.
Yeah. I mean,
So-
it is a phenomenal sound system.
It
you know.
really is.
And
Once I
go ahead.
fix the little things and like finish the kicks and
Yeah.
finish the dash and finish the trim in the trunk, like this will be a crazy.
And it is.
Crazy car.
You know, it's tuned well. The execution's great. System design, you can tell, had thought into it. It wasn't
Yeah.
just, let me slap something together randomly. No.
Yeah.
I mean, the fabrication skills that you have, I mean, these are just gorgeous.
I actually don't like the pillars.
Really? I
So
like 'em.
I like it. So here, so put your head back
Yep.
and look straight ahead. I like that view. Here,
Yeah.
let me get the camera.
Yeah, show 'em.
I like this view.
Okay.
What I don't like is this view. I don't like how they look looking across at them. This looks beautiful.
Yeah.
This looks weird to me, but they're the same.
Yeah.
But it's just, it looks cool
It
right
just-
here.
Yep.
It looks weird right here. The dash mid, I love how I executed the
Yeah,
dash
that's
mid
killer,
ranges.
dude.
I actually, if you see this pattern here, here, I'll
Yep,
take
show
it.
'em.
So if you see this grill pattern, I matched it, and even the same angle of everything too. I matched it. Oh, let me get out.
You gotta get out.
I matched it on there.
Nice.
So you can see
Yep.
everything about it, even like the part around it, the grill design, like everything matches, and it drops right in.
Yeah.
Frankly, all I had to do was remove the windshield.
Only.
Well,
How we turn
I'm
these
not
lights
gonna
on?
I'm not gonna say on video how I managed to finagle that one. I'll tell you after we stop recording.
Yep.
But remove the windshield. I made sure everything underneath was clear. I looked from the bottom, I looked from the top, everything was clear. Took a freaking hole saw, and I popped those plates in. It was a 4-hour install.
Nice.
From like having no design at all to windshield still being in, 4 hours in and out, and then called the windshield guys, hey, it's ready to go back in.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was it.
See, mine
And
was
I
a
could
lot more
service them
complicated.
from inside the car. I just couldn't cut the holes.
Gotcha. Yeah.
With the windshield in.
With mine, because mine had door mids like yours,
Yeah.
and which is great for width, but
But they're not good.
they're just
It's good
small
for
little-
width, but what is width good for if the whole soundstage sounds like shit?
Agreed.
And feels like shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There are very few cars that I've heard. Some factory systems sound decent with them, but for our level,
Yeah.
we want personally.
It's predictable and easy to tune.
Yep.
But the soundstage is not accurate.
No,
it's
it gets
skewed,
diffused.
It gets weird. It's a little diffused.
Yep.
It's not. Yeah, it's wider, but who cares if the soundstage doesn't feel real? It
Agreed.
doesn't present itself as coherent.
Exactly, and that's why I decided to do the same thing you did, which is put my mids up in the dash.
Yeah.
But I had to pull my entire dash out, and at the same
Ooh.
time, I also put 9-inch mid basses inside my dash.
Yeah.
So mine was a little different.
Yeah.
But
this dash is actually extremely. I was gonna just remove the dash and do it that way.
Yeah.
This dashboard is extremely complicated to remove.
Yeah.
One of my buddies worked at Volvo, and I called him when I was gonna do it, and I was like, "Hey, can you get me the documents on removing a dash of this car?" He's like, "I can. Heads up, don't do it." I was like, "Why?" He's like, "This is the most complicated dash I've ever had to remove."
So it's not like 4 screws, couple wires, and she pulls out?
No, why was that like it was like in your car?
It was a little bit more, but relatively, yeah. It's like the 2 bolts on the side, wires, and
dude,
some comes out.
This car is insane. It's ridiculous what has to come out. Like all of the trim has to pop out, the head unit, the vents, the gauge cluster has to come out, the steering column the whole steering column has to get dropped and moved. There's these crazy, difficult to access screws under it's just insane. Yeah. So I was like, you know what? I am going to go the other route and pull the windshield.
Yeah. So. See, I should have done that, but luckily my installer was like, yeah, we're just going to take the whole dash out. So we did.
Yeah.
But what did get me, because I pretty much took the dash out, and I had to do that. I had to drop my steering column, remove it, all this, my center console. But on Mazdas, if anyone has CX-50 or CX-5, there's a screw on the inside of the engine bay looking in. And that's what holds the entire dash. For like 3 hours, I was trying to figure, like, I've taken everything out. Why does this thing not come out?
A little tip for you. You can just call the dealership and ask them, hey, can you send me over the documents on how to remove this part?
I did.
And they'll actually do it. Most of the time, they'll do it.
Yeah, afterwards, I was like, hey, can I have this so I can put it back together properly? And they gave it to me.
Yeah.
But I was like, why did Mazda put one screw on the hood?
Most people, for some reason, like, let's be real, dealerships suck and they do gatekeep a lot of stuff and try to force you into their whole thing and don't want you messing with your car. But like, if you call me like, hey, this is what I'm doing, this is what it is, like I own a shop, you know, can you please just send me the documentation on how to do this?
Yeah.
I'm like 10 for 10, essentially. I don't know how many times I've done it, but like I've had no issues getting documents from dealers on how to remove and service stuff in vehicles. Yeah. So, yeah, usually in these, I also ask people. I'm
doing the video.
Okay, so fine.
Dang, come on, Nick.
Fine.
So, go ahead and ask yourself a question.
I actually don't know. I was going to say, like, I actually blanked in the middle. I was like, wait a second, what do I usually do?
Well, typically you ask stuff like, hey, what's something that's really improved or something that you want to help you? But, I mean, we definitely covered a lot in this video.
I think I can give you guys a breakdown on, like, the changes I've made over the years and where the real improvements were. Okay. The real improvements were... front sub was the biggest one because then I had less issues with resonance in the rear, less resonance in the doors. That was like a 2-for-1, and I got more anchored bass up front, but it's a lot of work to do. To anyone thinking to do an infinite baffle front sub, probably don't do that. Really evaluate it. It's a lot of work, especially to do correctly. You're gonna permanently modify your vehicle in a way that is not fixable. Stick to sealed. It's easier. You can fix them. You can always redo them. You can't redo cutting your firewall. No. You can't do potential water intrusion issues. You can't redo potential heat issues. You have to maintain it sometimes, you know? The only reason I did infinite baffle was because the legroom in this car, this is the S60, it's pretty short. Yeah. There's not a ton of room even when you put your seat all the way back. And I wanted to retain as much legroom as possible for my previous partner in life, who was like 6 foot tall and had like the legs like a fucking dinosaur. And yeah, that was the only reason I did that. I wanted to save every bit of legroom. But I would, if I had to redo it, I would just do a small sealed. Small sealed. Other than that, the biggest improvement, again, it's going to sound biased, but I promise you it's not. Sound deadening every little goddamn thing in this car. Yep. I remember when I was with the previous company that I owned, I don't even know if I'm allowed to name it because we signed, you know, let's just not. Agreement, whatever. Yeah. You guys know what it is. Yeah. Me and one of my former employees there, I wanted to soundproof the whole car. We gutted the whole thing while he was laying down ResoNix barrier on all the floors doing that. I took every trim panel and just looked at it and was like, okay, what about this trim panel can, one, rattle against itself, 2, rattle against another panel that it's touching, and 3, resonate.
Yep.
And I took care of all of those issues. These B pillars, they're dead.
Yep.
These A pillars, dead. The doors, dead. The rear doors, dead.
Yep.
The rear deck, dead. The C pillars, dead. The, rear deck, hook cover things, dead. Every little panel in this car is taken care of. This panel, dead.
That panel's notorious on Chevys, GMs. They just rattle like crazy.
Trucks,
It's like, gosh.
Also in BMWs, there's sometimes on BMWs they're a problem. But like even like in here, like these, there's deadener behind this trim.
Really?
There's foam behind this. There's foam behind this. There's foam behind this. Those all had itty bitty tiny rattles, but guess what? When I cleaned all of it up, the level of distortion in my car dropped significantly. Like it was genuinely a whole different system. So
100%.
the front sub made it easier to tune. Because I didn't have to deal with the issues of the rear sub playing up high. I didn't have to deal with the issues of the mid bass playing low and the resonance of the doors. That's just like a system design, like issues of the cabin type of fix. The sound deadening is we reduced distortion and improved tonality, transparency, transients,
all of it.
Everything as far as that goes improved. It wasn't a measured improvement. Actually, on the low frequencies, it was a measured improvement.
You can measure it.
But it was an audible, like, whoa, this is a whole different ballgame.
Well, it's night and day because, once again, my philosophy is, these are not cheap speakers, right?
It doesn't even matter.
And it doesn't, but hear me out.
Right.
People are constantly chasing SQ, right? And they're switching wires, spending crazy money on Kimber cable or whatever.
Let's not even go to wires. Let's make it something as simple as changing processors, changing amplifiers.
And the only thing that keep
speakers.
on happening is just your sound deadening's wrong.
At the end of the day, like, we can make it so you'll see a lot of people say speakers are the most important equipment in your car.
I disagree.
Technically, they are, according to distortion figures. But here's the thing. That's only speakers, amplifiers, processors, source signals, blah, blah, blah. The thing is, the car itself is adding way more distortion to the audible signal than anything else combined. And getting rid of that or lowering it as much as you can is going to be a huge improvement, number one. And number two, if you don't do it, it's making all of your equipment swapping and upgrading damn near worth nothing. Not nothing, because like improving speakers is improving speakers. Improving a processor is improving the processor. Improving your amplifiers is improving your amplifiers. But at the end of the day, you still have way more distortion coming out of your system than you realize. Your doors are resonating, your B pillar is resonating, your A pillars are resonating. A lot of people that do pillars aren't really doing them like bulky and thick, like with thick, strong fiberglass, or they're not doing deadener on the back of it. And it's like, if you have a mid-range, here's a little tip. If you have a mid-range in your pillar, and while it's playing, you can reach out and touch it, and you can feel it vibrating, I guarantee you're adding way more distortion to your sound system than you could possibly imagine. Bulk that thing up, add more fiberglass, add more sound deadener, get it to the point where you can't feel it while it's playing, and I guarantee your sound system will sound a lot better.
Agreed.
I didn't think that would actually... Previous to this, even while I owned ResoNix, you would have told me 4 years ago, I would have been like, I don't think so. Now,
100%.
Absolutely.
100%.
Absolutely.
It's key because, and I give everyone this example, it's like, if you think we're lying, go to any high-end speaker, home speaker, and just knock on it. Tell me if that isn't as dead as humanly possible.
So I actually went on that. I kind of mentioned that in my post. In high-end speakers, it's not about the speaker, the drivers they use. They obviously use like the best drivers they can and like design them for like what they're really wanting. But most of it is crossover and cabinet design.
100%.
Crossover essentially being like equal to tuning. Cabinet design being equal to install in a car. Like, they're making sure, they're going balls to the wall, making sure that you can turn that thing up and you can stick like an accelerometer at any part of that cabinet, and it picks up nothing.
Nothing. And that's the key thing to all of this.
Yes.
And I've told people this personally for me, and I'm not sure about you, Nick, but I'd rather have a car with cheaper speakers and it's properly designed and sounded, and then Accuton everything and zero sound deadening, everything is resonating. And the one typically, in my opinion, that has done proper system design and proper sound deadening will sound better.
Yeah. So in this car, again, these Accutons, these are insanely good speakers.
Yep.
Very expensive. I will get rid of these in this car and go with the lowest speaker that I offer.
Yeah.
Versus getting rid of the sound deadening I did in here.
Agreed. Yeah.
I would do that every time.
Yep, every time.
Seriously, I went from Audio Frogs to Focal Utopias to Accutons.
Okay.
And I went from deadening in just the doors to deadening everything. And I know the difference going from deadening everything versus all those speaker changes. No, the deadening did way more.
It does more. And
it does more.
Guys, listen, he owns ResoNix. He's not just saying that because he owns it. I don't own anything in terms of that. I can make money off of products. And I've been trying to preach this to everyone because it makes such a huge difference. And we're all kind of chasing the same thing, which is like great sound. And people are just literally just going around in circles and spending thousands and thousands of dollars.
And you know damn well there's going to be people watching this that don't have the hands-on experience that are going to be like, no, biased.
Yeah.
Nope, biased.
It's not, y'all.
You don't really need to do that. You don't need the expensive stuff. Sure, you don't need it. No one needs any of this.
Yeah.
No one needs an aftermarket sound system. Let's be real. But like, if what you're chasing is a good end result, like, I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, for sure. Well, we're almost at an hour long.
Are we?
Yeah, 57 minutes.
Jesus Christ. I like to talk. I don't know.
Oh, it's fine.
I don't know if you ever noticed. I love to talk.
Not at all, dude. Well, dude, it was a pleasure doing this.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you for letting me do it.
for doing it.
Dude, of course. Like I told you. You don't do it to everyone else. No one does it on yours. I was like, I'm going to have fun. I was going to do it on my iPhone, but we rather use these little mics and are better.
Yeah.
Well, dude, thanks again. You have an amazing car. Sounds great. Thanks for coming up from New York to...
Yeah, this drive sucks, dude.
Does it?
I hate drive. Like I told you.
Oh, yeah.
This is the most... So put it this way. Driving from New York to Maine and back.
Yeah.
This will account for probably a third of the mileage I do in the next year.
Nice.
Or the past year, or that I've done in the past year.
Yeah. See, I have 38,000 miles in my car. It's a year and a half.
I'm about to cross 40K.
And how,
it's at
how long have you owned this?
39,957. I've had it for 4 years, but when I left the last shop, I was still doing some driving back then.
Yeah.
But I left a year and a half ago, and I think it was at 38, low 38.
Gotcha.
Or maybe high 37,000 miles. Yeah. I don't drive. I work from home.
Well, dude, I'm happy for you. We're going to end it here before it keeps going. But, dude, honestly, I'm happy that ResoNix is going great. You deserve it. Great products. I use it on my car. Fiber mat's awesome. I've used all your products in my car. I have them all. And, people know my COD Stinger house because before that, you didn't have ResoNix at that point. So I just used Stinger Ultimate, which is still really good stuff. Yeah. But, hey, next time, I'm definitely using that mega filler, whatever.
Mega CLD?
Yeah, that one.
Yeah, have fun.
So we're going to transition with your arm. So we're just going to hit him with this.
Oh.